All right, this is Chapter 1, Lesson 1, all about numerical expressions for pre-algebra. So the first thing that you have in Chapter 1 is actually this foldable. Okay, on the front it has the order of operations, which you can actually go through and color later if you want to. So we're going to go ahead and fill this out first, and then we'll move on to the lesson. Okay, so when we're dealing with order of operations, you always want to go from left to right. So you always want to order from left to right. Now normally we have a mnemonic device, which is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So P stands for parentheses. X is for exponent. M is for multiply. D is for divide. A is for add or addition. And S is for subtract. And it's very important to recognize that you do the parentheses first, then any of your exponents, then you do either multiplication or division, and you always go from left to right. So if you have a division that comes first when you're going from left to right, then you do the division first, okay? Same thing with addition or subtraction. It's addition or subtraction, again in that order though. It's from left to right, okay? So down here I have PEMDAS, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So again, that's please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So you have a couple of practice problems. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try out the try-it problems, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. All right, now that you've had a chance to try out the 3 practice problems, let's go over them together. So the first one I have is 3 plus 7 times 6 divided by 3. So again, we want to work from left to right. So I want to go through, and what I have found helpful is I actually circle any addition or subtraction, especially when there's no parentheses or exponents. So there's no parentheses or exponents, so I'm going to go ahead and circle my addition, okay? And I'm going to bring it down. All right, so now I have 7 times 6 divided by 3. Well, I have to go from left to right, and now I deal with multiplication and division. 7 times 6 is 42. So I have 42 divided by 3. Okay, so now I have 3 plus 42 divided by 3. Again, I'm going to ignore the addition. Okay, so I have 3 plus, and then 42 divided by 3 is 14. So now I have 3 plus 14, which adds to get me 17. The next one I have is 6 times 4, the quantity 6 times 4, divided by 3 minus 6 plus 2. So again, I want to work from left to right. This is the first set of parentheses I come across, so I'm going to do what's inside parentheses first. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, and then I copy everything else down. Then again, I still want to go from left to right, so the next thing I come across is division. Well, I do that before I subtract or add. So 24 divided by 3 is 8, minus 6 plus 2. And then I'm still going to go from left to right. Well, subtraction, even though it doesn't come before this is or. So I do whichever one comes first. So 8 minus 6 is 2. 2 plus 2 gives me 4. The next one I have is 2 squared times 9 divided by 3. So I want to go through, I have no parentheses, but I do have exponents. So 2 squared, which is really 2 times 2, is 4. So I have 4 times 9 divided by 3. Okay. Then again, I want to go from left to right, so I do multiplication. 4 times 9 is 36 divided by 3. And then 36 divided by 3 is 12. All right, so when I'm dealing with numerical expressions, a numerical expression contains numbers and operations. So operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, parentheses, exponents, those are all included in numerical expressions. One thing to note is that expressions have no equation sign. They have no equal sign. Equal signs are equations, no equal signs, expressions. Okay? So examples of an expression, 3 plus 5, 64 divided by 8. 4 times 11 minus 3 plus 5. You notice that there are no equal signs to that. As soon as you put an equal sign in, it stops being an expression and becomes an equation. All right? So this first box here, it says the blank, blank, blank tells you which operation to perform first so that everyone finds the same value for an expression. In those blanks, you're going to write order of operations. So the order of operation tells you which operation to perform first so that everyone finds the same value for an expression. All right, so we can take a look at a couple of examples. The first thing I have is find the value of each expression. So example, 12 minus 6 plus 2. There are no grouping symbols or powers. There are no multiplication or division symbols. And I add and subtract in order from blank to blank. So you go from left to right. So when I do this, 12 minus 6 plus 2, I do the 12 minus 6 first, which gives me 6 plus 2 equals 8. Okay. Another example I have, 4 plus 2 times 5. There are no grouping symbols or powers. I multiply before adding. Okay, so you want to go ahead and multiply first. 4 plus 2 times 5, so 2 times 5 gives me 10, and then I add 4 plus 10 equals 14. This one says find the value of each expression. Example, 20 divided by 5 plus 2 times the quantity 3 minus 1. So again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS, okay? 3 minus 1 is in parentheses, so I do that first. So I get 3 minus 1 is 2, so again I write everything out. 20 divided by 5 plus 2 times whatever was in parentheses is 2, okay? Then I do my division because I'm going from left to right, okay, and I come across division first. 20 divided by 5 is 4 plus 2 times 2, okay? Then I do my multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4, so I have 4 plus 4, which should give me 8. 4 plus 4, not 4 times 4, okay? My next example, 4 times 3 squared plus 5. 4 times 3 squared plus 5 equals, okay, 3 squared is exponent, which means I need to do that first. There are no parentheses. 3 squared is 3 times 3, or 9. So 4 times 9 gives me 36 plus 5. 36 plus 5 is 41. My last example, 4 plus the quantity 7 squared minus 3 times 2. So again, I do what's inside the parentheses first. Well, I have 7 squared minus 3. So I do the exponent that's inside the parentheses first. 7 squared is 49. So I have 4 plus 49 minus 3 times 2. 49 minus 3 is 46. Okay. 46 times 2 is 92. Plus 4 is 96. All right, the last thing on this page is GMDAS. It's very similar to PEMDAS, okay? You can actually use this as well. You can use GEMDAS. G stands for grouping symbols, E is exponents, M multiply, D divide, A add, F subtract. So it's almost the exact same thing. They use G for grouping symbols, so if you're dealing with brackets, parentheses, wavy brackets, things like that. It just encompasses more options. So you might hear PEMDAS and you also might hear GEMDAS. Okay? So go ahead, on the next page are actually a little homework assignment for you. All right, on the next page you actually have some practice problems. So I want you to go ahead, try out the try-out problems, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. Alright, so now that you've had a chance to try out the try-out problems, let's go over the answers together. So what I actually have is two different papers. The first one looks like this. It says, why did Santa go to college for music? So, the directions are, find the value of each expression below, then write the corresponding letter in the blank to solve the riddle. So we're actually going to come back to this. We're going to go ahead and solve all of our problems first, which are right here. Okay? And when we're done, we'll go back and we'll solve the riddle. Alright, so for my first one up here, I have 3 plus 2 squared minus 6. So I'm going to do 2 squared first, which gives me 4. Okay? And then I'm going to go from left to right. 3 plus 4 is 7, minus 6. So that equals 1. I'm going to go E, 4 squared plus the quantity 9 plus 3 minus 7. So I do what's inside the parentheses first. So I have 4 squared plus 9 plus 3 is 12, minus 7. This equals 4 squared plus 12 minus 7 is 5. And then 4 squared is 16 plus 5, which equals 21. For letter V, 2 times the quantity 4 plus 6. Again, I do what's inside the parentheses first. 4 plus 6 is 10, so I get 2 times 10, which is 20. For letter M, 2 times 3 in parentheses times 8, so I do what's inside the parentheses. 2 times 3 is 6, times 8 is 48. For letter W, 2 times the quantity 9 plus 9. 9 plus 9 is in parentheses, so that's 18. And then 2 times 18 is 36. For letter K, 6 squared plus 3 divided by 13 plus 6. So I do what's inside the parentheses first, and then I deal with the exponent. So 6 squared is 36 plus 3. 36 plus 3 is 39. 39 divided by 13 equals 3 plus 6, which equals 9. The next one, O, 12 minus 3 plus 4 times 6. So again, I use PEMDAS. I skip through subtraction and addition. I go to the multiplication. 4 times 6 is 24. And then I go back to the beginning and I go from left to right. 12 minus 3 is 9 plus 24. And then this will give me 33. Okay, and then for letter C, I have 31 minus the quantity 18 plus 2 plus 7. So again, I do what's inside parentheses first. 31 minus 18 plus 2 is 20 plus 7. So 31 minus 27, which gives me 4. Letter D, quantity 1 plus 6 minus 3 times 9 minus 13. 1 plus 6 is 7, minus 3 is 4. So I have 4 times 9 minus 13, which is 36 minus 13, which is 23. P is 4 plus 5 plus 9. 4 plus 5 is 9, so 9 plus 9 is 18. Then I have 4 squared plus 12 minus 5. 4 squared is 16 plus 12 minus 5. 16 plus 12 is 28 minus 5, which is 23. For H, I have the quantity 4 squared plus 2 minus 16. 4 squared is 16 plus 2 minus 16, which is really 18 minus 16, which is 2. For U, I have the quantity 2 squared divided by 2 minus 2 times 4 times 5. 2 squared is 4. Four divided by 2 is 2 minus 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, minus 2 is 0, times 4, times 5, which is really just 0, because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. I have the quantity 3 times 6 squared plus 1 minus 2. Well, 6 squared I do first. So 3 times 36 plus 1 minus 2. 36 times 3 is 108. Plus 1 minus 2, 109. Minus 2 is 107. For R, I have the quantity 4 plus 3 minus 4, which is really 7 minus 4, which is 3. For this one, I have the quantity 1 plus 6 minus 3 divided by 2 plus 3. Well, 1 plus 6 is 7, minus 3 is 4, so I have 4 divided by 2 plus 3, which is 2 plus 3, which equals 5. For letter L, I have quantity 5 squared plus 4 squared plus the quantity 7 squared minus 23 times 2. So I go from left to right, starting with the parentheses. So I have 25 plus 16 plus 49 minus 23 times 2. Okay. 25 and 16 is 41. 49 minus 23 times 2, because again I have to go with PEMDAS. So this is 49. This is 49 minus 46. Okay. 49 minus 46 is 3. So I have 41 plus 3, which equals 44. And then for the last one, 14 divided by 7 times the quantity 4 plus 6 minus 3. So I have 14 divided by 7 times 4 plus 6 is 10 minus 3. So I have 14 divided by 7 times 10 minus 3 is 7. So then I go in order. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and then 2 times 7 is 14. All right, so now that you have all the answers, you can go back to the first page and go ahead and fill in the blanks. Okay? All right, on the next page of your notebook, you'll have this page that says clue words on it, which just gives you some clue words when you're changing things into numerical expressions. Okay? And then this page right here has different properties on it. So you have commutative, associative, additive inverse, multiplicative inverse, multiplicative identity, multiplicative property of 0, and the distributive property. So if you open up each one of these, it gives you an example as well as what it looks like in algebraic terms.